So a review for us for the upcoming clothing unit test, and just a reminder that all the vocabulary and all the kanji for this test are to be found on Quizlet.com. Just search Lee Sensei and all of my vocabulary files will come up for you and you can have a good look. This is especially key, I think, for the reading test so that you're able to recognize everything that you need. All right, on to the grammar that we covered. The first major thing that we covered is the use of the word toki. And toki for us has always been the idea of when, and this particular use of the grammar allowed us to refine that a little bit more. The first time that we saw this was in the idea of expressing a habit. And when we express a habit, it's always that verb in the plain present plus toki. And you know it's a habit because after this you can always put the word itsumo, not yoku, not tokidoki, not all of those kind of things, but the word itsumo. And that tells you that this is particularly a habit. Takara, shukudai o suru toki, itsumo, I don't know, chips o tabetemasu. Chips o tabemasu. And actually, to be more formal and to be more proper, tabetemasu. Whenever I study, I always eat chips. The other way that we looked at toki is the idea of actually giving a time frame like when. And when we do this, we have several rules. First of all, if it's a noun like sensei or sansai, then we're always going to make sure that we put a no and then toki. It's just the rule. Just follow the rule. You will not be wrong. When it's an e-adjective, it's always going to be in the plain present. So it's always going to be sugoi. You're always going to see an e there plus toki. When it's a na adjective, such as bendy, it's always going to be bendy na toki. This never changes, even if the following thing is in the past, even if it's in the negative, even if it's in the present. This setup has to occur. So all you have to do in knowing to pick the right one or use the right one is to say, look, am I using a noun, an e-adjective, or an adjective? When we come to verbs, it gets a little bit trickier because we can have the plain present and we can have the plain past. When we put our toki here, our choice of the plain present and plain past, as you know, is whether this particular action is still going on when the second action occurs. So if this is not finished, and plain past is if it is finished. So, for example, when I went to Japan, I rode an airplane. Nihon ni something toki hikoki ni norimashita. And I haven't finished going to Japan yet. And therefore, I'm still on the plane. I took the plane. When I went to Japan, I took the plane. Dakara kore wa iku. Ii desu ne? All right. The next thing that we took a look at was the conditional if. And the conditional if that we're looking for is kind of like what we call the hypothetical if. It was an if in which one condition had to occur before the other condition could happen. So in this particular hypothetical if, it always has to be the plain past. And it always has to be the plain past plus a la. So if we're looking at it in this particular way, it's going to be oki katara. Bendy dattara. Sensei dattara. Ittara. The only time data is showing up is when you have a na, adjective, or a noun. Otherwise, it's going to be oki katara or ikara, depending on whether you have an e adjective or a verb. This is always the hypothetical. And we took a look back and remembered that that natural if that we used was the plain present and to, where the outcome is uncontrollable by you. You have no factoring in that. And that's the end of part 1 of our review.